This is January 24th, 2023, the 2000 tick chart on the SPY E-mini on ThinkorSwim's PaperTrader. This is what the chart looked like today. Looks like there might have been a bunch of opportunities today, but as I was sitting through this chop, I realized that actually there weren't that many clean entries to take. There were some riskier ones that I avoided, and overall it was just kind of a sit on hands day. So this is what the chart looks like. And then throughout the day, this is what I drew up. So as you can see, there's kind of like a number of trading ranges that popped up, but I wasn't able to capitalize on pretty much all of them. I only took 3 trades today, and all of them, fortunately, were green trades. But let's just go through this. But before I go through it, I just want to show you in the pre-market, I drew this as my top and bottom of the trading range. So this is what you see in the pre-market. And in the pre-market, I don't trade the pre-market, but I did see this downward trend. So I knew the bias at this point looked like it was trending down bearish. So that's just to keep in mind as the market opens. Now the market opens, it's still respecting this trading range, excuse me, this trading channel, which I drew sloping down. Got good confirmation. There's a little overshoot here, and it comes back up. So the EMA is kind of flattening out here. So I do have a new low. You can see there is a possible first entry short there. And then it moves along. And then there really isn't a second entry short because it kind of comes back down and touches the bottom of this range. So I do see a second entry short here because it does make it one tick short, but I called it a pretty aggressive trade. So I definitely didn't want to short going into this bottom. Turns out it would have worked, but you don't know that at the time. It gives you another opportunity here, which is a lower high, because you have a second entry short. So if you count the lows here, first entry short comes down, comes up, second entry short. You would have taken it here, but then you are coming right against the bottom, which is risky. And then you got a lower high here. But it already made a new low, so this lower high is a little suspect. I wouldn't have taken it, and I didn't. I did take this trade. So what happened was this lower high was confirmed when it went down. Then I saw a second entry short again, starting from here. First entry short was one tick lower, second entry short. It did come up to touch the EMA, and at this point, it looked like the bottom of this level wasn't holding anymore. So I suspected that this overall bearish channel was going to be the dominant one for the day. At the time, I did draw this trading range, but I felt like the pre-market had informed me that most likely it's going to trend all the way down. So I took this entry right here, as you'll see. Doesn't come back to the EMA, and I was able to get out with my scalp. It is an aggressive entry, I'll admit, but I was able to scalp out down here, and then my runner got stopped out. So not the best entry, but it's something I thought was worth a shot. In hindsight, if I skipped this entry, would have been okay too. So prices continue moving up. Now it breaks above the EMA, and right now I have my training channels right here. It looks like it's kind of bouncing, it's respecting it, but I don't see any good safe entries yet. Goes up, and it starts forming another channel here. And at this point, I do draw this preliminary trading channel going upwards, and it does confirm 1, 2. It does have a breakout, but it confirms about 3 times at the bottom. Then it's kind of keeps grinding up. So here I'm wondering, okay, there was a downward bearish slope. Now it's coming up bullish. So I have to keep watching for more price action to find out what's going on. I don't have this line drawn yet, but it does break down. So here I'm expecting, I'm not sure if this one's going to dominate this sloping bearish channel or this upwards bullish channel. I don't know if it's going to have a test of a new high here or if it's going to come back down, test of a low here. So I'm just watching. Or it could just be a trading range, which ultimately is what happened for the day. So it comes down, breaks out of this little channel I have drawn, and makes a new low. Comes up, I see a first entry long here because there's a first entry, and then I see a second entry. So I actually meant to say second entry long here, but I'm thinking it's going to fail because it closed low. It does close lower, and it kind of reverses back up. So that's a little confusing. I also consider like maybe this is going to scalp this one first entry, maybe a second entry here. So I call it a second entry long visual because like first entry long, second entry. This is pretty close to the low. So if I want to short this, it's a little risky because I am going against the overall dominating, excuse me. It is a little risky because it didn't hit the EMA, and I'm not sure if it's really in the trading range or not. That I did draw a preliminary trading range here, which turned out to be somewhat correct. Comes up, I did take a second entry short because I saw kind of a confirmation. It was like failed first entry long. This came up here on the visual. It goes down, it fails, comes up. I saw a new low, first entry short, and then a second entry short. So I took my entry right here at 1375, which is right about here, one tick below this guy. It didn't touch the EMA, but I felt like it was worth a shot because it looks like it's in a trading range. Took a short here, was able to scalp out my profit, and then the runner, I was able to trail down, and I got my runner stopped out here because I moved my runner usually from the original stop to break even, and then I kind of trail it one tick above, in this case, the last highest candle. So I kind of stopped out right here about 409.25 because as it went down, I gave it some room thinking it might continue downwards, but it didn't. It stopped me out. That's okay. Turns out to be a green trade. Prices continue moving upwards. So it broke below this gigantic channel low. And now I'm wondering if it's going to go back up or if it'll continue further down. Turns out it continues up. I did see a failed second entry short because this is a new low. First entry short, it broke above the EMA, continues up, second entry short. And when it broke below and then it came back up, it was like a second entry short, but a failed second entry short. I considered it kind of aggressive because it's not touching the EMA. It is kind of in this trading channel here, but I didn't quite have myself convinced that I should take any kind of entry yet. So just kind of left it alone. Prices moved up. At this point, I suspected there was some kind of resistance here. I think I had it higher before, but it didn't touch it, so I kind of dragged it back down. I saw a first entry here, first entry long, then a second entry long, and a failure. Now, I think this would have been a good trade to take, but not on this candle, because you see this happening, and you're getting prepared for a second entry failure, because it's first entry long followed by second entry long, and you're looking for a failure. So the failure is not quite there, because it didn't tick below, but it does make a very nice signal bar. So the entry would have been right here. When you see this break below, if you're aggressive, you would have had one tick below because it respected the EMA. Or if you want to be a little more, get a little more reduction in your risk, probably would have put your entry right at the EMA, but I don't know if you would have gotten filled. So if you put it right here, one tick below this good signal bar, you would have gotten filled and the trade would have worked. Then it goes back up. And now, right now, this day is just looking choppy. So I did see a failed second entry short here. This is a new low, first entry short, second entry short, fails by moving back up. But I wasn't ready to take a long trade there because, to be honest, I'm not really sure what's going on. I don't have enough experience seeing enough charts enough for enough time to make a good determination that I should have taken a trade there. There's a first entry long here, followed by second entry long, but it's pretty far from the EMA. It is being supported by this lower part of the trading range, but here it's even questionable because you saw it made a lower low and then a lower low here. And then now suddenly it's respecting this line here. So it's hard for me to really be sure that it wouldn't fail on its own, especially when you're looking at it at this point. See a second entry long. This isn't that convincing because it is a doji, even though it is a bullish doji. So you could have taken it there. If you take it here, you're really close to the EMA now, and you don't know if it's going to respect it as a ceiling, as a resistance, because it respected it as a support, kind of, and it kind of respected it as a resistance at other times. So it's hard to tell. It's kind of in a trading range. You do see a higher low now. When I saw a higher low, I didn't take the trade because I don't think I was actually sitting and watching as carefully as I should have. But I saw a higher low here. When it broke above, the entry would have been probably, well, if you're aggressive, you'd probably take it right at the EMA on this candle. Or if you want to be conservative, you would have taken it one tick above here, but then your stop would have been all the way down here. So it would have been kind of a aggressive entry to take, especially on a day like this. As prices kept moving up, again, it has come up and touched this top because I used to have it up here, but I dragged it down here, which is what I'm using as a top of the resistance. And then it touches it a fourth time, which is kind of encouraging that you know you kind of have a correct line. But then it breaks through, keeps moving up, and then it kind of gets stuck in this new trading range, which I kind of had up here. This is the third trade that I took. Saw a new high, saw first entry long, comes up, makes a second entry long. So why did I take this? I took this because when I had this as a trading range, I saw it as a second entry long and a failed breakout. It's at the bottom of the trading range. Tendency right now is one leg up, two legs up. It's kind of checking out to figure out if it wants to keep going up higher or not. The EMA is holding because I waited one candle. I didn't just take it on this candle. I took it right here. Ends up working, but I didn't get a runner on it. It got stopped out pretty much immediately, and then a reverses course breaks back through the EMA, and it was only good for a quick scalp. Prices keep moving down, and at this point, it's getting kind of difficult to really tell what's going on or where prices are going next, because typically on a trading range day, you'll see the trading range kind of be respected. It'll be respected up here, and at least at the bottom, it should be respected somewhere, but it's not respecting this line really. And it's not, if you drew a line here, it's not kind of being respected either. And if you drew down here, you only have one touch right there. So it's hard to really know for sure where things are going. This ended up being my third and final trade, and I'll go through the rest of the chart rather quickly because the rest of the day only offered a few entries, but even then they felt a little iffy because right here, as it kind of moved down, you have a new low. You can say a first entry short, followed by a second entry short, and it fails. You're kind of far from the EMA, and you'd have to take it up here, which is, again, far from the EMA. I'm not really sure if it was going to happen because this is the top of my trading range. And later, I kind of dragged it down, but even then, I wasn't sure if this was going to be held or counted as legitimate. Comes up, it's a second entry short, because if you counted these two together, as a new low here, you could say a first entry short, second entry short. You could argue that you would short here because it's at the top of the range. This is kind of this isn't that good a candle, but this one is. But when you decide to take it here, if you took it one tick below, you're already close to the EMA again. The EMA itself is turning horizontal. So that coupled together with the overall structure of the day made me kind of hesitant to be super aggressive because it is a trading range day, but it is a kind of a confusing, not obvious trading range day. So it comes down, jumps around some more, makes a new low, makes a first entry short, second entry short, breaks below EMA. So if you took a second entry short, you take a short here, but then if you had the line trading range where I had it, you're going to run into this guy pretty soon. So you don't know if it's actually here, perhaps here, maybe it was actually up here. So that made it an aggressive entry. So it was a no trade for me. Breaks down, moves up. You don't really get that good an entry because you got like a first entry short, second entry short, third entry short, fourth entry short. I mean, it's hard to really know what's going on. It comes out, you get the same thing on the other side. You get a new high, first entry long, second entry long, first entry, third entry long, fourth entry long. You could restart the count if you wanted to here and say there's a first entry long, second entry long. But again, you're in a whole congested area of confusion. So in this case, for me, it was better just sit on my hands. It comes back down, moves up. You get a first entry short, followed by a second entry short. But I called it aggressive. Again, I really don't know where things are going to end up because the trading ranges aren't being fully respected. I mean, someone else might have drawn these better than I did, but this is what I was playing off of at the time. So it's hard to know exactly if I could trust this as being the top of the trading range because, as I said, it could be actually here or somewhere else. Prices move up, comes back down, excuse me, pretty much oscillates some more. Excuse me. creates another trading range here, moves up. You don't get that good second entries or obvious second entries. Comes down. Pretty much the whole day is kind of consolidating for the next 3 hours, and we're getting pretty close to the end of the day. So even then, I wasn't looking to be ambitious and take a winning trade because there just wasn't that many I could find today. I was pretty happy with my 3 trades. So it ends up kind of chops around. You get pretty close to the end of the day here, and things just go a little wild. So I try to stay out of this unless I'm already in a trade. I'm managing it, and then you just kind of get these crazy spikes toward the end of the day. That's how I saw it. I only was able to take three trades, but I'm pretty happy with the 3 trades. As a matter of fact, in hindsight, looking back, I probably would have been fine if I took no trades today, just because it was a little tricky today. Some of them, might have not worked out in my favor. So that's how I saw the charts today. Hope it was helpful. It's helpful for me.